And welcome back everyone to part 2 of our node programming with EJS, and we're building a full-on CRUD website. I'm going to open up this app.js file here because I noticed that last time we included body parser here and I forgot to add in this part right here for it to use it. We didn't have any issues on our last programming with it, but I want to add it in case we need to use it later on. So app.use and it's body parser .url encoded. Let's see, it's extended true. It's just like that inside brackets. So we want to enable that to use body parser because this part helps us with parsing our post items and all that. In this tutorial now for part 2, I'm mainly going to mess around with prettying up the website. So I'm going to open up our index.ejs right here. You notice that we only worked with one page right now, the index page. Let's run this again so you can see where we left off. npm start. Okay, so I have a mistype right here. Let's go fix it. It's where we type this in. There we go. Let's save that. npm start. Okay, so we're up and running. So let's go to our site here. Now you remember last time we had a form. We can submit new menu items to our page here and we're just displaying it, but it doesn't look nice. So what I want to do right now is I want to pretty this up. And we're going to do it by using Bootstrap. And what I want to do is we only been working with the index.ejs right now. Here is our entire HTML. You notice that we have HTML, the body right here. And what I want to do is I want to put this into a header and a footer so that we can use it in multiple pages. Inside of our views folder here, I want to create another folder called partials. And inside of partials, I want to have a header.ejs and also a footer.ejs. So let's work with the header here. I'm going to take everything from this doc type to the body. Actually, I'll include this h1 too because I want this inside of every page. So I'm going to cut that. I'm going to go to the header, paste it in. So let's save this. Now let's go to the footer. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the ending of the body and HTML. I'm going to cut that out, go to the footer, put that in, and right here I want to add my footer copyright that I do for everything. So copyright coder Kai tutorials and copy 2022 and that. Let's save that up. So we have our footer header, and so we need to include this into our index.ejs here. So this is how you include. We're going to do less than sign percentage and then this dash right there, the minus sign. Include, and we need to call that partials folder right here. So partials / header.ejs. We're going to close that up and close up our brackets right there. And so that's for the header. Let's do the same thing for the footer. I'm going to copy this, go down here for the footer and change this to footer. There we go. Save that. Now if I run it, it should still look the same. So let's run it, npm start, go to our page, refresh, and see it still looks the same because we just did an include on it. So now it's every time I create a new page, I can just do an include header, include footer, and then I just put everything inside the body and the header and everything will look the same. So going back to this header.ejs file right here, I want to do a few includes in here. And I want to include it right below the title right here. I'm going to show you Bootstrap and also FontAwesome. So go to getbootstrap.com and you'll see this little quick installation right down here for JS Deliver. Now this is the Bootstrap CSS only and the Bootstrap bundle with Popper. So go ahead and copy this part right here. This is the CSS and we're going to go back into our header and paste that in. And then right below that, I want to include the JS bundle right here. So copy that, go back here, paste it in. And then last, we want to go to FontAwesome right here, fontawesome.com. Now you go here and you click on start right here. And then you put in your email address and it'll send you a kit code. And the code is just a link to their CSS so you can use it. All of this stuff is free. So I'll go back here and paste it in. Here's my FontAwesome right here. And then we're going to go back to our body and we're going to start using that. So you notice right now in our home page, we only have this little form right here where we can submit menus like this right here. So I want to create a nice little icon for the home page and a little drop down menu. And I'm going to contain all of this into just a nice little flex box. So let's go back here, and here's our index with this form. I'm going to keep that form there and how it displays data, but we're going to wrap all that inside our header here. And I'm going to do that by doing a div class equals container. Now this is just Bootstrap, justify content center. So what I'll do is I'll include my full code in my GitHub, but I'll do that at the very end when I finish up the whole project. But if you want to follow along, you can just pretty it up yourself and just do your own design around it. But this is just using Bootstrap, and it's just to make it look pretty. You know, I'm just wrapping everything inside a container. I'm using a CRUD, and then I'm just going to put like a little icon image. I'll show you how it looks like after I finish putting all this in. Header image, div class equals menu icon. So I'm just doing like, and then I'm going to create a little drop down right here. Class equals, whoops, I forgot to end that quote right there. Icon, and then drop down. I'm going to put a little drop down button right here. Drop button. And inside of here will be an image. I've already downloaded some images from icons8.com, and there are so many images if you browse through it, and it just makes your page look a little bit nicer. So I'll show you this layout after I put all of this in here. See, I'm gonna have a little drop down content in here, and all I do is I just put in some unordered lists right here. And right here I'm going to have a login. I'm going to create a little login link. I'm going to wrap that around an li. So think of this as a drop down where I have a little login link, and I'll show you how to do the login coming up. And then the link will also have a, let's see right here, we're going to do a add new menu. And inside the add new menu, on click, so when someone clicks on it, it's going to show add new menu and return false on that. This add new menu is going to show the form that we have on our home page where they can add a new menu. I'm going to hide the menu, and then when you click on it, it'll show the form. So that's how it works. So let's end this right here, /div for the drop down content, and pretty much end everything here. And then right after this little menu icon, I'm going to have our homepage logo. App icon. This is going to direct us to our homepage every time we click on it. Source equals, again, images /icons8. And I have a restaurant menu image. It's a PNG. So notice that this is in the header, and I created a container and a card, and I'm keeping that open because it's going to wrap around everything when it gets included into our index here. So it wraps it all around into this nice little card looking thing, and you'll see how it looks like in a minute. So since I have this open in the header, these two divs, I need to close it up in the footer. So I need to go back here, /div /div. So I'm pretty much done with the footer there. I might have to do some CSS around this right here. We're going to go to our CSS over here in our public style.css. So what I did was I created CSS for my menus and my headers right here for the header image to align them. My menu icon, I just did a little bit of CSS on that. I did a little drop down right here, and then I just played around with it until I got the position right, how to display it. I put a little radius on it, some shadows, and then just some coloring. And then so I'll show you that right now as I run this. Let me do a clear npm start. Gonna refresh this, and so yeah, it's kind of not aligned correctly, but here's the menu that I'm playing around with. See this little icon here? align the icon on the left. This is the unordered list with 2 links in there, and it has login, add new menu. As you hover over it, it just shows and it disappears. It's my little menu icon in the front here. So you just got to play around with the CSS, and I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to align everything so that it can just be centered aligned on this. Okay, so coming back here, what I did was I imported some fonts from Google here, Google APIs that have a lot of different fonts. So I imported this, and I just messed around with my HTML, the body, gave it a light gray background, gave it the font, changed some of my link colors up, messed around with my cards and the form controls and stuff, and different things in here with the header image and my header icon images and stuff, and especially the drop downs. So what I did was I'm gonna go to the header here. I'm gonna remove this title now that we have, because it used to say, you know, menu app, and now that we have our own menu icon for the home page, I don't need to say the title anymore. And then I want to get this add new menu thing to work. So what I'm trying to do here is save that. Let's go back to our index.ejs here, and you remember how we displayed things in here? Like the image was too big. What I did was I wrapped this around a flex right here, this flex box, and I just kind of justified things, and I'll show you how it looks like right now. Here is the page right here. You see how it looks here. If I refresh it, we just removed that title up here, and here's our restaurant app image for the home page. If I click on that, it goes home. Or drop down menu here, I just prettied it up, and you know, we can log in, add new menu. I haven't created our login page yet. I'll do that pretty soon. And what I want to do right now is I want to get this add new menu to work. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to hide this add new menu. This is the add new menu form. I'm going to hide that initially, so when we hover over and we click on it, we'll show that form right here. And this is how I format it right now for all the items that we have in our database right now, just the McDonald's that we entered in and the QR code for it. So if I click on that, it pops up a new page here and it goes directly to the menu. So that's working fine, but I want to add this code in right here to hide that menu, and that menu is in the index here. And let's give this form a class here. Class equals search form, and ID equals search form. And then inside here, I'm going to have a div class equals input group mb3. I'm going to add a search box so that we can search for items. So let's do an input, type equals text, class equals form control, name equals search input. So this is just a search box that I'm creating right here, and I'll have a div class equals input group button class equals btn. This is a primary button. I'm just mistyping here. And then this is where FontAwesome comes in. I'm going to give it this little icon here with a class. It's a search icon, FA search. And that, and the button, and end the div. So you know what? I don't want this search form right here. I'm going to put it outside. And then this form here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around a new menu ID so that I can manipulate this from to hide it and show it. I'm going to give it a title right here as well. And h2 class equals page title. So this is going to be called new menu. So let me recap this right here. I wrap our form inside an ID, and with this ID I have a style in here for the form ID, and right here I have the form ID of new menu, and I'm going to initially make it display none so that it doesn't show at all. Inside here, when we click on it, on this function here, add new menu, will show that form. So really I can put this form even inside the header if I want. Maybe I'll do that. Let's cut that out so that it can be on every page. What we also did was I added this search input box right here, and we're going to work with this search input box as well to search for items in to search for all menus in our database. Well, let's go back to the header here. I want to add in the little functionality for the show new menu right here. I'm going to add a script, and a very simple function, show add new menu. There we go. And then I'm going to do a var new menu equals, now we're going to get that menu ID, document.get element by ID, and we call we're calling it by its ID name, new menu. That's how we're grabbing that ID for it. Now new menu dot style dot display equals, now we're going to show it block. So that's all it takes for that. And yeah, when they click on this drop down menu will show this form right here. It will show this block. See, we have an ID of new menu. That's how I'm grabbing it, new menu, and I show it because our CSS right now is hiding it. So let's take a view at this right now. I might have to stop the server and start it again. npm start, refresh, and here's our search form that we added in right here. See, the form is gone because we're hiding it. And if I hover over add new menu, I click on it, see, and then it shows new menu. So I'm just gonna format this a little bit better so that it can just be centered and look nice. So it's looking a lot better now. If you use Bootstrap, FontAwesome, I really suggest browsing through it, and just, it's very easy. They give you all the tools to do it. See, it has all like these different font Bootstrap icons if you want to use, but I'm using FontAwesome. And then you see that it's just very simple to call the Bootstrap code. There's a container, deflex, look all these up, justify content center, and it does exactly what it means right here, justify the content centered. You see that we moved a lot of things inside our header here, and then now our index really just has the search page, and then it shows all of the items in our database. So that's all it has right now. So yeah, I'm just gonna mess with this a little bit more and pretty it up using Bootstrap and CSS so that our page looks nice here. And then I'm gonna get into how to run this little search here. I'll show you how to set up the routing for this, where we search, and we'll search for items in here, and I'll add some more menu. I'll add another menu item in here too. But let me just play around with the CSS to make this look a little bit more better. Then I'll get right back. Alright, so I am back here, and I just cleaned it up a little bit more. Add new menu right here. I centered everything, made my button look a little bit nicer using Bootstrap right here. I think this is the primary button class if you want to use it. And then we have our search form. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to add another menu. Let's put in Taco Bell. And I have the icon that I pulled from Taco Bell website already right here. And then their food menu is very simple. It's just tacobell.com/food. So let's insert this. And you see right there, when I inserted it, it went right back to the home page and went right to the database right here, and it lists everything. So now that we have two items in here, what I want to do is to set up this search right here. And I'm going to modify this search a little bit right here. Let's go back to our code. Stop the server. So let's do form. Action. We're going to return it back to the home page, but with a the letter Q for query, because we're going to query this form. Method equals post. I'm going to give it a class here. Search form. ID of search form. So let's end our search form here. And then now here is our input box, right? For the search input box. I have a name of search input. Let's give it a little placeholder right now. Placeholder equals search. And then this is just the magnifying glass button, right? So that's how it looks like. Here's the search magnifying glass. When they click on it, they can search. Or if they press enter on the search input field, it will search for it as well. So now that we have this form, we're going to submit this to our index page with the letter Q. It's going to be a post. And we have the name for this input as search input. So let's go to our index.js right now. And we're going to do a post on this. So it's router.post. And what are we posting? That's right, the Q. We're looking that up. Request response arrow function. And I know this is going to be an asynchronous function already. I'm going to put async here. I'm going to let menu equals schemas.menu. I'm going to let Q equals request body dot search input. This is our input field that we're setting up right here. And then we're going to grab all menus. So I need to let menu data equals null. Initially, I'm going to set up this variable as empty, and then as we search for it, if there's something, we're going to assign the value to that. So I'm going to say if the query is not equal to null, there has to be something to search here. Then we're going to search. And I'm going to let menu result equals, I'm going to wait on it, menu.find. I'm going to do our query, then data return that data for us. And so our query in here, I'm going to set up a little query. So let's do that. Let query equals. So what are we searching for here? We're going to search for the name, right? In our database, we're going to match up the name for, like, for example, McDonald's or Taco Bell, whatever name we search for. And this is the query syntax I'm going to use. We have to do a regular expression on it, and I looked this up on the web for this type of query input. And so I'm searching regular expression, anything that looks like our input text search input right here. That's why I'm using Q in here. I'm adding it to it. And then there's an options. And I really just found this on the web on how to add in this little search index right here. So really it just searches for, you know, if I put in McDonald's or Taco Bell, whatever, it just searches for that word. If it finds the data, I want to set our menu data here. Menu data equals data. Going to return that data for me. And then I'm also going to do an else. As we search for something, if nothing comes back, I want to return that search query. And I'm going to have it say search. I'll show you what I'm trying to do with this in a minute. And then I'm going to search for all of our menus. Results equals await menu.find, and you'll see what's going to happen here. Then data arrow function, I'm returning all the data. I'm searching for everything. Menu data then will equal the data. Same thing. So what's going on here? As I enter in a value here to search and I submit it, it's going to try to find something. If it doesn't find anything, then I want to search again our whole database for all entries so that I can render the page with all entries again. But if it does find something, I'm only going to show that one item. So that's how this works right here. If our search input is not null, meaning I entered like McDonald's or something, right? If I searched a keyword and that's not empty, then I'm going to try to find it. If it finds something, then I'm going to append that data to it right here. Otherwise, if there's nothing in that search box and I just kind of like I left it empty and I just press enter on it, it's just going to search for everything. So that's what it is. If I put in taco or search for Taco Bell, if I leave it empty and I just enter on it, it's going to just return everything. Now I have to render the page. Response.render index, and we have a title, menu app, and then now we're going to return the data. Menu data. Here's the data that we're returning. Menu data. Returning it into a variable called data here. Same thing that we did up here in our render for the home page when they just go to the home page. It's just only getting the data. That, and then I'm going to have another variable in here called search. It's going to return the search query. I'm doing this so that I can just have the query, whatever they enter in here after I return it. I'm gonna, if they enter in taco and after I search, I'm gonna have this show in here as well. Like it's gonna stay in the search box. Otherwise, this will be empty when the page returns. So I just want to return their value back to them again, their search field. That's about it. So let's close that up. Now we go back to the index here. I'm returning the data, right? So it's going to process that data here. But remember, I also returned this query, the search query here. So what I'm trying to do with that is in this placeholder here, I'm going to wrap this around code right here. That's going to say if search is not empty, if this search right here, here's the variable search. If that's not empty, then I'm going to have a value in the search box to be called that search value. So let's give it that search value, search. And since I have this as an if statement, I have to end the if statement here. See how we wrap the code around there. So now I don't need this placeholder here anymore. Remove that. So I'll save that and let's run this server here. Start. I'm gonna refresh this page here. Oh, I have an error. Search is not defined. Okay. Alright, so here is what I made a mistake on. I added this new search variable in here for this new post, but as the page was loading, it couldn't find that new search here because we added it to our index here. We added a search variable. So when you're working with the same page here, make sure you're adding the variable to all of your renders. So I need to add it in here, right in here. I need the search, and I'm just going to make it empty, because right here, this is where the home page loads. So the page is loading, and when it was loading, it was looking for this variable called search. So now I added it back in here. So let's rerun it, and let's go over this. Let's go to the home page here. See, there we go. So this is the input box here where I have that search. And if I put in taco and I search, see, it found Taco Bell, and it kept the keyword here. If I remove that and I search, see, it searches for everything. And so that's what we're doing here. The index page here has the search form with the variable search. So initially it sees search as empty, right? When the page loads in our index here, I have search as empty. And when the page loads, it grabs everything. It grabs all items. That's why it grabbed all of these initially in here. And then it returned the data for me, but search is empty. Just right here, it says if search is empty, then do nothing. It's saying only if it's not empty, it's going to add in the value for us. So initially this value is empty, and then it shows all the data on our home page. Now when I search for something, I enter in a search term in here, like McDonald's, and I hit enter on that. It's going to do a post. It's going to post it here. It's going to see that the search term isn't empty, it's not null, so it's going to search and find that term for me, and then it's going to return the data. And then I add the data here, and I'm also returning the search term. That's what I'm doing here. I search, so you search for it, it finds McDonald's, and it's returning the search term for me so that I can enter it back into the search box for me. That's all I'm doing in here. If search term is not empty, then set the value to that search term. So that's how it works. So now that we got this working, if I entering a bunch of nothing, see, it doesn't find anything. But then if I make it empty, it searches for everything. And so we have this search working. I think I'll stop here, and the site looks really nice too, how we have all this. The next thing in our next video that I'll do is I'll add in a login with authentication. So if you're very interested in learning how to create logins, authenticate it, and using encryption, you'll see that in the next video. I'm going to add that in because we have this kind of working right now. We have this menu, we can submit. What I also want to do is, why I want to create a login is because I only want people who log in or have admin access to be able to add a menu. Otherwise, this thing is all public. Anyone can just click on this and add a menu right now. I want to make it so that I can log in, and then when it logs in and it's authenticated with a username password, I'm going to also set that up. I'm going to set up a form where we can create a new user with a login, and then when you're logged in, I'm going to have some new menus here. It's going to say edit, delete, and then we can edit the menus, and then only this is going to show up when you log in so that no one can just enter it in publicly. But for now, this is looking really nice. We did the Bootstrap in this video here. We're showing a search form so we can search for our items. And yeah, the next video I'll add in more items. We'll do a login, and then it's all gonna come together. It's looking nice right now. Have the menu here. It's looking nice with our Bootstrap and CSS codes. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and like this video so other people can find this type of video, that they can learn how to make a full-on web application. And we'll wrap it up. Well, maybe I'll wrap it up in the next one. I'll see. Or it might go for like another video after that. I'll see how long it takes to do the login and anything else we need to do with it. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Code Kai out.